and proposed practically. To Chapter 9 institutions and civil society here today, your role is to listen without defense, to partner without delay. So as I welcome you here today, let this chamber echo with the courage of 1976 and the vision of 2026. As I welcome you, I will now hand over to the House Chairperson of Committees, the Honorable Frolick, who will be co-chairing with me this morning's first session. Honorable Frolick.
Thank you, Honorable Governor. I was just going to say, why don't we give him a nice hand and round of applause? No, thank you very much. I want to recognize the Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly, the Honorable Dediza, as well as the Chairperson of the Council of Provinces. And I want to also recognize the Members of Parliament, members of the Provincial Legislature who are present. I will now ask the Speaker from the Gauteng Provincial Legislature, who is hosting us today, the Honorable Mosul Punye, to come and to do the welcoming remarks. The Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much for that generous reception. Bana ba rona dumelang. Dumelang hle. You must sound like young people who are ready to grab your future. Pole dumedisa gape dumelang. That's more like it. That's more like it. It tells us that you are ready to take the baton that's going to be handed over. Program Director, thank you very much for the opportunity. Allow me to acknowledge the Chairperson of National Council of Provinces, Honorable Refilwe Mtsweni-Tsipane, the Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Togo Didiza, House Chairperson, Honorable Frolick, who gave me an opportunity to come and speak, the Deputy Chair of the NCOP, Honorable Governor, Speaker of the KZN Legislature, Honorable Boyce, Speaker of Gauteng Youth Sector Parliament, Ms. Tole, President of the South African Youth Council, Mr. S.T. Tsime, and I'm told actually I'm not told, I met all the 8 presidents of the, all presidents of the 8 provinces. Acknowledge the presence of the Deputy Chair, also then acknowledge the presence of the Deputy Chair of Chairpersons, whose direct responsibility it is to convene youth parliaments in the province, Honorable Kunene. So this year, South Africa marks 2 important milestones. We celebrate 30 years of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, the supreme law that embodies our collective aspirations for freedom, equality, human dignity, and social justice. At the same time, we commemorate the 50th anniversary of the 1976 Soweto Uprising, a defining chapter in our liberation struggle, led by courageous young people who refused to accept injustice and inequality. The gathering of young leaders, young activists, students, entrepreneurs, and community builders from across our country is therefore both timely and necessary. It provides an important platform for reflection, for dialogue, and action as we assess whether our constitutional democracy has delivered on its promise to improve the lives of all South Africans, particularly the youth. The Constitution remains one of the greatest achievements of our democracy. Through the Bill of Rights, it guarantees access to education, healthcare, social protection, human dignity, equality, freedom of expression, and opportunities for participation in public life. It provides the foundation upon which we continue to build an inclusive, non-racial, non-sexist, and democratic society. However, while we have made significant progress over the past 3 decades, we must also acknowledge the realities confronting many young people today. High levels of youth unemployment, high levels of poverty, inequality, skills shortages, social exclusion, and limited access to economic opportunities continue to undermine the full realization of constitutional rights for millions of young South Africans. So it is against this backdrop that the 2026 National Youth Parliament assumes particular importance. Over the coming days, delegates will engage critically on key issues affecting youth development, including the following. 1, access to quality education. 2, the impact of precarious and informal labor markets on young people. 3, strategies to address chronic youth unemployment. 4, removing barriers to youth entrepreneurship and small business development. 5, accelerating youth economic participation and industrialization. And lastly, building effective partnerships across society to advance youth development. These discussions are not merely academic exercises. They are about finding practical solutions that will improve the lives of young people and strengthen our democracy. So as Parliament and its legislatures, we recognize that young people are not passive participants and recipients of development programs. You are innovators, you are leaders, you are problem solvers, and active participants in shaping the future of our country. Your voices matter. And I want to repeat that. Your voices matter. Your experiences matter. Your ideas matter. I'm going to repeat it so that it's clear in your heads and you understand what your responsibilities are. Your voices, your experiences, and your ideas matter. The Youth Parliament, therefore, serves as an important democratic platform through which young people can engage directly with lawmakers and decision makers, influence policy debates, and contribute meaningfully to the development of our nation. So as we commemorate the sacrifices of the youth of 1976, we must ask ourselves an important question. What legacy will our generation leave for those who come after us? That question is posed to yourselves, by the way. We, the youth of 1976, answered what our question was, and I'm taking it for granted that you know what it was. The answer lies in our collective commitment to ensuring that constitutional rights become a lived reality for every young person, regardless of where they come from, their social background, or economic circumstances. The future of South Africa depends on our ability to harness the energy, creativity, innovation, and determination of its youth. It depends on creating opportunities that enable young people to participate fully in the economy, contribute to social development, and realize their full potential. I therefore encourage all delegates to participate actively, to engage respectfully, to challenge ideas constructively, and contribute solutions that are practical, that are innovative, and that are forward-looking. Let this Youth Parliament be remembered not only for the quality of its debates, but for the impact of its resolutions on the lives of young people throughout our country. So on behalf of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature and the people of Gauteng, I extend a warm welcome to all delegates and guests. May your deliberations be fruitful, your engagements meaningful, and your contributions transformative. Program Director, allow me also to acknowledge the presence of the secretaries, National, the NCOP, and the legislature in Gauteng. I had forgotten that. So I wish you a successful National Youth Parliament. Thank you very much.
No, thank you, Honorable Speaker of the Gauteng Legislature, for those opening remarks. I now want to invite the Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, the Honorable Mtsweni Tsipane, to the podium to deliver the opening address. The Honorable Tsipane, for those, especially the young people, for your information, is the Chairperson of the House where all the different provinces are represented in Parliament, and they represent, in terms of the Constitution, the interests of the different provinces. And since this is a national parliament event, it's important also to recognize then those guests and participants who are here from the other provinces. You are indeed welcome. Over to you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you so much, co-program directors, Honorable Governor, as well as Honorable Frolic. Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly, Metogo Didiza, the honorable members of Parliament present here with us, the Speaker of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature, Honorable Masupye, as well as the Speaker of KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Legislature, Honorable Boyce, the honorable members of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature present here with us, members of parliaments who are also here with us, the Secretary to Parliament, Mr. Kolile George, as well as the Secretary to the Legislature. We also would like to take this opportunity and acknowledge the presence of the Chairperson of the National Youth Development Agency, Dr. Miende, the officials of Parliament and Legislature present, our special guests from civil society, youth-based, and student organization present, delegates of the Youth Parliament, Dumelang, Sanbonan, Abshen, Honorable Program Director, it is indeed with utmost humility, honor, and gratitude that we deliver the opening address to this historic occasion as we commemorate the 50th anniversary of what is popularly referred as the Youth Uprisings of 1976. We equally acknowledge the warm welcoming remarks by the Speaker of the Provincial Legislature of Gauteng. On behalf of the presiding officers of Parliament, let me take this opportunity to salute all the guests and participants for joining us in this Youth Parliament as a representation of youth from across the length and breadth of our country. I also take this opportunity to thank the organizers and various stakeholders for ensuring that we convene a successful symposium for reflections, dialogue, and collaboration. This Youth Parliament is to this point a necessity of our business as Parliament and not just a mere conventional practice of the state. This Parliament must interrogate progress being made to reshape and reposition the lives of our youth and children as set out in our priorities that underscores the developmental agenda responsive to the evolving needs of our people. Thus, fellow delegates and participants, we are convened under a particular lens that prioritizes youth empowerment for a sustainable future. As the youth and professional sector, you are to this end invited to make individual and collective contribution, as our speaker aptly indicated that your voice matters. You are therefore invited to make your inputs towards refining our oversight and legislative processes as a democratic parliament of the people, by the people, and for the people. Parliament, as the primary site for oversight, will be challenged to translate the outcomes of this dialogue into measurable outcomes for immediate, medium, and long-term implementation. To achieve this, such platforms are critical as a means of constant evaluation and responsiveness to an evolving political, economical, and social environment in the local, continental, and global space. In commemorating this historic occasion, the current generation must properly locate the essence of the 1976 struggle in order to understand present challenges as part of the long arc of liberation. This was a moment in our painful history when the youth, the children of Soweto and across the country did not wake up to die, however, decided to take ownership of their future through a protracted struggle to confront and combat their oppression. This youth-led of 1976 became the focal point of opposition when other organizations fighting for liberation were either banned and many leaders were in exile, underground, or imprisoned. It was characterized as the period of people's power, where apartheid rule was being displaced in all corners of society through forms of self-government across our communities. It was a period of a liberation of consciousness from psychological and political oppression to rebuild political unity for self-determination. As we gather today, it would be remiss not to underline what the struggle then was, what was lost, what was preserved, in order to understand what are we fighting for. It was a youth-led ideological struggle against the system that sought to limit and stunt the development potential and economic role of our youth through imposing the colonizers' model in the world. In this way, the system sought to ensure the uninterrupted production and reproduction of cheap black labor for the benefit of white capitalists' accumulation in ways that turned our youth to permanent drawers of water. Thus, we understand the call for the current generation of youth, as underlined in the theme of this parliament, that political freedom without changing the economic base that reproduces oppression is incomplete. To allow the present youth to be integrated into the system that apartheid built is to want transformation, but not a delinking from the very structures, institutions, and infrastructure that ensured white supremacy and black alienation. In thinking through a different future, our challenge as parliamentarians is to understand, as mentioned by public commentators, that any victory that comes at excessive cost to the peoples is tantamount to defeat. It is to internalize the fact that the struggle is not over as yet. It is to understand that the struggle has moved from the street of our communities to different sites of struggles in universities, industry, corporates, the spaces of arts, culture, spiritually, sports, and other aspects of social life. That is why some political thinkers are saying the struggle feels different. To this end, our repeated call to youth of today is to remember what the struggle was for. It is for the youth to pick up the baton and not to become passive recipients of government, private and public interventions. It is for the youth to reclaim education as a site of struggle. It is for the youth also to reclaim democracy by ensuring that you register to vote in order to decide the type of country and the world you wish to live in. The multiple interlocking, interrelated challenges facing the youth are not a problem of the future, but they are the problem of the now. It is to make your mark and contribution through all sides of people's power, and especially through our municipalities, our legislatures, and as well as our parliament. In this regard, Parliament invites all of you as participants today, and also our stakeholders, to contribute to the contemporary challenges captured in the thematic areas that you will be deliberating through your breakout.
(1976) Uprising. The messages of support will be delivered once the invited guests have arrived. And I think for the young people it's important to note the momentous and historical occasion that happened on June 16 that ignited not only in Soweto but around the country uprisings, different formations, young people taking the lead in dealing with what our session's thematic focus is. From a localized student protest against the imposition of Bantu education and Afrikaans into a catalyst that has contributed towards fracturing the apartheid regime governance construct. I will now ask for the images and the video to be flighted. Thereafter, we will hand over the chair to the Honorable Kumbaka and also the Honorable Billy. Thank you.
June 16, 1976 was a significant political milestone and a catalytic moment in the evolution of South Africa's political landscape. a day when hundreds of students and youth then, mainly blacks, across the country protested against the introduction of Afrikaans as the medium of instruction in school. With its epicenter in Soweto, the students' uprisings marked a turning point in our country's history, which changed the political conversation of the then apartheid regime. It is through the sacrifices and bravery of these young heroines and heroes, the class of 1976, that today we are a democracy. This Youth Day Parliament calls on the current Youth Brigade to be reminded of the innate power they have to change their own world and the lives of others.
Youth development is a constitutional obligation and a national imperative. Therefore, the question before us is simple. Are we creating a South Africa in which young people can thrive, or are we merely managing their frustrations? For millions of South Africans, the promise of democracy remains incomplete. They are educated but unemployed. They are innovative but underfunded. They are eager to contribute, yet too often find doors closed to them. Behind every unemployment statistic is a young person whose dreams are being delayed and a country whose potential is being diminished. That is why today's engagement matters, and this engagement of this report matters. The report we're about to receive is to assess whether the interventions undertaken by the NYDA since 2025 are changing lives, are they creating opportunities, and are they restoring hope? We are here to determine whether the programs are reaching the young person in Mushwa, in Khayelitsha, in Soweto, in Giyani, and in every rural village and township where talent exists, but opportunity remains scarce. The National Youth Development Agency occupies a critical position in our country's development agenda. It carries the responsibility of ensuring that youth development is not fragmented, but coordinated, transformative, and not confined to policy documents, but visible in our communities. As we approach the 50th anniversary of the June 16th Uprising, we are reminded that young people have never waited for permission to shape their future of this country. The generation of 1976 challenged an unjust system and changed the course of history. The question for our generation is different, but equally important. Are we creating the conditions for young people to succeed, lead, innovate, and build the South Africa they deserve? So today we will examine the progress in the National Youth Service programs, the efforts being taken to advance economic transformation across government, and interventions aimed at dismantling financial barriers that continue to exclude young people from meaningful economic participation. Because ultimately, youth development is not about programs, but it is about the young people themselves. So let this engagement be guided by accountability and a shared determination to move from theory to tangible change. The youth of South Africa cannot live on potential alone, and I think as young people, our responsibility is to ensure that where talent exists, opportunity follows. With that being said, I would like to call upon the chairperson of the NYDA, Dr. Sunshine Miende, to come and provide us with a report. Are they present?
Honorable Honorable
Okay.
Kambata, I'm told that, that Dr. Miende is running a little late, so we will proceed with the program, and I will then ask Honorable Billy to start with the discussion session. But before that, I would like to say to the young people that are here today, the youth of 1976 did not have an opportunity to speak to parliamentarians. They did not have an opportunity to speak to those who were in power at that time. But you as young people today, you have the opportunity to come face to face with parliamentarians, and especially the young parliamentarians who are representing you in the National Assembly as well as in the NCOP, where we have committees in the social cluster that deal with issues of education, healthcare, social services, and so on. And they are here today, and you are privileged to have that opportunity to interact with them and to lay your issues on the table so that they then take it forward. And remember that those of you that are here, you are here with a very weighty issue on your shoulders because you are representing millions of students and youth around our country. So you have a very serious obligation to the youth of our country to bring your issues to the table. And I don't want you to feel daunted or afraid in any way that you are in the presence of parliamentarians and that your voices should be subdued in any way. I want to encourage you to speak openly, to speak freely, to speak respectfully, so that we can then see how we take your issues forward. Having said that, I will hand back to Honorable Billy and Honorable Kumbaka.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. With that being said, may I also then just move to the President of SAIC to come and reflect on the 30 years of the Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you, Session Chair. Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly, Meditiza, Chairperson of the NCOP, Honorable Mtsoeni Tsipane, Deputy Chairperson of the NCOP, Honorable Kavenda, House Chairperson on Committee and Oversight and Public Participation, Honorable Frolik, Speaker of the Gauteng Legislature, Honorable Masupuye, Honorable Speaker of the KZN Legislature, Honorable Boyce, Honorable Members of Parliament who are here, Honorable Members of the Youth Parliament, who are called to come and reflect on the Constitution, on the 30 years of Constitution. Since the dawn of democracy in 1996, the South African Constitution has stand as the supreme law of our land, a beacon of hope and a framework for transformation. It is within this Constitution that the rights, dignity, and aspirations of youth are enshrined. Indeed, it has been the foundation upon which youth development has advanced, though without the challenges. The Constitution has provided a legal and moral mandate for the creation of institutions and policy dedicated to youth empowerment, from the National Youth Commission to the National Youth Development Agency. These instruments are direct expression of constitutional principles, ensuring that young people are not excluded in the democratic project, but are recognized as central to its success. Through the Bill of Rights, the Constitution guarantees access to education, equality, and participation in governance. These guarantees have opened the doors for millions of young South Africans to pursue opportunities that were once denied by the apartheid. The Constitution has also empowered youth movement to hold government accountable and demand transformation in higher education, employment, and social justice. Yet, honorable members, we must candid that while the Constitution has laid the foundation, the pace of implementation has always not matched the urgency of youth needs. Unemployment, inequality, and social exclusion remain the stubborn barriers. The Constitution gives us the tools, but it is our collective responsibility as leaders and citizens to wield those tools with courage and resolve. Therefore, I affirm that the Constitution has indeed advanced the youth development since 1996, but it calls upon us to deepen its promise. It is not enough to celebrate the right it enshrines. We must translate those rights into tangible opportunities, into jobs, into quality education, into safety and dignity for every young person. The Constitution is the starting point, but the struggle for youth development is an ongoing journey that we must work together. Honorable Speaker was still saying the Constitution is incomplete without the Youth Development Act. Honorable members, the South African Youth Council stands as the legitimate voice of young people in our democracy. Our role in advancing the youth agenda is both constitutional, moral, and rooted in the struggle for dignity, opportunity, and justice. We advance this agenda through the following pillars: policy advocacy. SAIC engage the government and institutions to ensure that youth priorities are reflected in the national development strategies, legislation, and budget. We push for transformative policies on education, employment, health, and social inclusion. On youth mobilization, we organize and unite young people across provinces, campuses, and communities in ensuring that their voices are amplified in decision-making process. SAIC is the heartbeat of youth activism, channeling the grassroots energy into national influence. We hold the accountability and oversight, partnership and collaboration, social justice and advocacy. In essence, SAIC is not a spectator in youth development. We are the driver, the watchdog, and the partner. We advance the youth agenda by ensuring that the Constitution's promise to young people is not left on paper, but lived in classrooms, workplaces, communities across South Africa. To accelerate the development in South Africa is hindered by the persistent gaps such as unemployment, skills mismatch, unequal access to education, and limited youth participation in decision-making process. The challenges that are outlined above undermines the Constitution's promise and a slow progress towards the inclusive growth. Youth unemployment, skills mismatch, education and inequalities, social challenges, structural barriers, and risk implication. The economic stagnation without urgent intervention, youth unemployment will continue to drag down the national growth. Social unrest, exclusion, fuel protest, xenophobic and instability. Lost generation risk, the high need rates threaten the long productivity and innovation. We propose the way forward. To accelerate youth development in South Africa, we must strengthen the implementation and accountability. Expand skills development and digital inclusion. Create targeted employment pathways through public, private, and partnership. Ensure youth participation in decision-making at all levels. Address social justice issues like GBV, inequality, alongside economic reform. Civil society in South Africa plays a critical role in countering xenophobia, addressing immigration, government failures, tackling unemployment by advocating for human rights, exposing scapegoat, pushing for structural reforms. Their intervention emphasizes equality and accountability rather than violence and exclusion. Civil society's role in immigration and xenophobia. It's human rights, countering xenophobic narrative, community protection, civil society role in addressing unemployment, its policy pressure, youth empowerment, partnership with business. There are risks and challenges. Scapegoat migrant divert attention from real cause of issues, which is unemployment, inequality. Violent mobilized groups, it gives an opportunity to violent groups that are mobilizing, like Operation Tutula. Weak immigration governance, backlog, corruption, asylum delays, fuel the resentment and create fertile ground for the xenophobic rhetoric. Civil society is the moral compass in South Africa's immigration and unemployment debate by defending rights, debunking the myth, and advocating for structural reforms. They ensure that solutions are rooted in justice, accountability, rather than divisions and violence. Civil society in South Africa is the glue that binds community together, especially in times of division, inequality, and social unrest, by mobilizing citizens, advocating for justice, and fostering dialogue. Civil society organizations strengthen the foundation of social cohesion. Key roles of civil societies: promoting dialogue, human rights, community development, and conflict resolution, including partnership with government. Civil society is the bridge between the constitution and the community by promoting dialogue, defending the rights, and empowering youth. It ensures that social cohesion is not just an ideal, but a lived reality in villages, townships. Without civil society, the dreams of a united, inclusive South Africa would remain incomplete. I thank you.
Thank you very much for that presentation, President. I want to start by greeting every single one of you, particularly young people who are here with us today. I want to extend my greeting to the Speaker of the National Assembly, to the Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, the Deputy Chair, Honorable Governor, the Speaker of the KwaZulu-Natal Legislature, Honorable Boyce, the Speaker of the Gauteng Legislature. I want to observe all protocol. Mine is quite simple. We were expecting or are expecting a presentation from the NYDA, which we are informed that they are on their way. But we are going to move on with the program and allow discussions thereafter. But before doing that, I want to maybe start by making a few remarks for this important day as we commemorate Youth Day. And we do so in the shadow of one of the most significant moments in our nation's history. The youth of 1976 challenged injustice, demanded dignity, and changed the course of South Africa forever. Today, the struggle of young people has a changed form, but it remains urgent. The challenge confronting many South Africans is no longer exclusion from education by law, but exclusion from opportunity. By circumstances. Millions of young South Africans being unemployed. We need to also ask questions about the role of all of us as lawmakers and as government in assisting the situation. So we will receive updates or presentations from NYDA, as I've said, efforts to support youth entrepreneurship and job creation, coordination of youth development initiatives across government, and interventions to address barriers to finance and economic participation. So, Chair, I want to maybe add to the Deputy Chair's sentiments that I would want to encourage that we have a constructive and solution-driven discussion, and I'm quite confident that as young people who are here, you've taken your time to be part of these discussions, that you will help us and guide us as your representatives to ensure that this discussion is focused on jobs, skills, access to capital, and all that is facing our society. I therefore encourage all participants to engage openly. I want you to ask difficult questions and contribute practical ideas that can help shape a better future for South Africa's youth. With those remarks, I want to start by maybe inviting the IEC, Mr. Mokhwasi Lehlaku, to give a presentation, and thereafter we will have further discussions which will be managed by my colleague, Honorable Modise, and his co-colleague as we forge a way forward. Thank you. IEC, Mr. Lehlaku. Mr. Lehlaku, I sincerely apologize. I was advised that it was a Mr. I apologize.
Thank you so much. I don't apologize for being female. But good morning and thank you very, very much. I do want to stand on the protocol that has already been established, but I do want to acknowledge and say thank you for the invitation, Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Chairperson of the NCOP, and the Deputy Chairperson, Members of Parliament who are present here, Honorable Speakers of Provincial Legislatures, and all representatives of our fellow Chapter 9 institutions, such as the one that I come from, the Electoral Commission of South Africa, and of course, all distinguished guests and young people, most especially. It's both an honor, a privilege, but most of all, a responsibility that I stand here this morning to address this gathering on the eve of Youth Day. I hold this responsibility with profound significance for the nation, because this is the year in which we commemorate 50 years, half a century of that day in 1976. As we mark 50 years since the uprising, when courageous young people stood up against injustice and fundamentally altered the course of South Africa. We also celebrate, as has been said by previous speakers, 30 years of our Constitution. A very, very important Constitution, and not just a document, that establishes the Chapter 9 institutions, such as the IEC. These milestones invite us not only to reflect on how far we have come, but to ask difficult questions about the future we are building together. The young people of 1976 demonstrated that youth are not merely beneficiaries of change, but they are creators of the change that they want to see. Today, the challenges that confront young people are very different from those of young people of 1976, but they are no less significant. Youth unemployment remains high. Many young people continue to face barriers to education, economic participation, and social mobility. Others feel disconnected from the very institutions and even the representatives that are there to champion their causes. And we as the IEC conduct research and have been doing so over 20 years that tells us the trends of people's support for democracy. And our latest research in our voter participation survey told us that we have hit historical lows when it comes to support for democracy. And that is very worrying, not just for us as an institution, but is something that should and is worrying all of us, I believe, as a country. But despite all of these challenges, there are things we can celebrate, and there is a lot of optimism that we can all look forward to, such as the upcoming local government elections. The question before us then today is, how do we create an environment where your potential can be realized? And how do you, as young people, utilize your voice in the form of your vote to realize the future that you want to see? As the Electoral Commission, we believe that democracy is strongest when people are not just passive observers, but are active participants. Participation doesn't just begin at the ballot box. It includes engaging in dialogues as we are today, but also holding institutions and all institutions to account. Contributing to community conversation, to community development, and helping to shape the policies that will affect your daily lives. As South Africa prepares for the next local government elections, the participation of young people has never been more important. Local government is where many of the issues that matter most to you as young people, to myself as Moagesi, experience every single day. And this is the connection that I wish for all young people and all voters to remember and to realize. We do recognize that people do exercise a choice to participate or not participate. But I, for one, have never seen anything change for the better when nobody did nothing. When young people participate, it makes a difference. It makes a difference because young people are the majority in our country today. We are a very young country and we are a very young continent. And therefore you have the numbers to mobilize, to encourage and to inspire others to come along and to register to vote. As the Electoral Commission, we remain committed to creating opportunities for meaningful youth engagement, and through our civic and democracy education programs, partnerships with educational institutions such as the ones you come from, civil society, traditional leaders, faith-based organizations, and youth formations, we continue to work towards building a culture of active citizenship and democratic participation. As we engage in today's discussions, I want to encourage you to ready yourself for the 4th of November 2026. The future is not something that must happen to young people. It is not something that happens for young people, but it is something that young people must create for themselves. On behalf of the Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, I wish to thank you for giving us the opportunity to address this occasion. We urge all young people in this room to please go to the back of the room where our colleagues are able to assist you to register to vote, but also visit your voting station on 20 to 21 June and ensure that you are election ready. Register to vote, get up, show up, and vote on the 4th of November. Thank you very much.
Hola. Hola. Fere. Khaleli bua singam la man. Yeah, asizwe na maflake la. Uyabona, yabo. Finally, you are here. How many of you were here in 2010? FIFA World Cup. 2010 FIFA World Cup in South Africa. How many of you were there? So do you know when we said, feel it? Feel it? Thank you. As far as you're serious too much. You are not in parliament, don't be too serious. This is your event. We are live. How many of you are doing metric? Final year of education in high school. 1, 2, 3. Only 3. Are you passing? Are you finishing? How many of you are irritated by going to school? You know, you don't want to wake up in the morning. At some stage, you didn't want to wake up. Ningaboni sekugcoke amasudu asikho serious. Are you okay? Are you sharp? Ngizoyithola kanjani? Ngizoyithola kanjani? Uhlele khoneni. Deputy Chair, I saw the President of South African Youth Council, and I was like, it's nice to be young. He's standing here with this beautiful white t-shirt. He's not feeling any cold. I'm looking at him and I'm like, oh my goodness, how I wish it was me. Sifake namascarf ndoda debekubanda ngakhona eCape Town. Ekabande Cape Town. How many of you have been to Cape Town? Ekabande Cape Town. Maybe next parliament, maybe the next youth parliament, presiding officer must take it to Cape Town, so you can feel the word of Cape Town. I know some of you. Who's from the township here? Which township are you from? Yeah? Where? Soweto. All right. Wena? Zablan. How? Wena? Alex? Gopi? 13, 14, 18. Wena? Yeah? Sharpeville. Twin Stars. Sharpeville Massacre. Hey, Maton. Hey. Wena? Yeah? Rondas. Angizwa. Ronda Belt next to the airport. Oh my goodness. Okay, wena? Mpumalanga. West Springs. Oh, nakao. Akunaparasezola la. Aw, ayikho iparasezola la. Uphumezona. Is it Aurora? Oh my goodness. Okay. Shaville. Ngihlalile eShaville kawo. Do you know Dubula Street? Do you know Dubula Street? In Shaville. I stayed there. Okay. Let's get back to the business of today. You've heard the presentation from the President of South African Youth Council, right? He's representing you as young people. Now, the Parliament is here. In relation to what he said, what is it that you want to add? Is there anything else that you want to add? Or is there anything that you feel is lacking that you want to add? If so, please raise your hand. We are going to give you a chance. We're starting here. 1. Are you from school? Yeah? Oh, you are youth. Oh, okay. So I thought you were youth and Njengami. Oh, okay. We youth. Oh, all right. So 1, please remember your number. Please remember your number. So we start with you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Says I up. Me 6 this side. Yabo. 7, 8. So there are 8 this side. Remember your number. Says I up. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 of you this side. 1 a cap, 2 my lady next to the gentleman, 3 behind you, 4 behind you. So there are only 4 this side. We are coming this side. Paramis. I'm your history teacher. Paramis angekubona. Yeah. Ungayenzi so angikho sure ukuthi uphakamisela or uphakamisa. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ehlisa isandla ngithi number 10. Are you raising your hands? You are 11, eh? So Jezi number 10, idume wonke umhlaba. Aw, Khosi number 12. Sharp. And then you come in this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 3 at the back, 2 in front. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 5, it's 8, it's 4, it's 11. I mean 12 here, right? Please remember your numbers. It's a by the way, ne? It's by the way. So you'll be number 9. All right. Let's start with number 1. Be mindful of the time. Straight to the issue. You don't have to speak English. You can speak any language you want. I see. Even Afrikaans is okay. Minister of Sport says you must buy Zani.
Hi everybody, am I loud enough? So my name is Toledi, I'm from Zola and I'm also representing the JA project. My surname is Matwa and my issue I have for today is substance abuse. A lot of especially the youth, since this event is about the youth, there's a lot of substance abuse, and also being from Zola and the township, I see a lot of things, a lot of experiences. Just to have keep the time, I wanted to raise the issue of substance abuse, especially in townships, to be specific. Thank you.
Thank you. President, President Substance Abuse, Program on Substance Abuse. Number 2.
Can everyone hear me? Good evening, everybody. My name is Gemma Daniel. I'm from Lone Hill International Academy, and I'm also representing the YA project. And so I want to raise the issue of mental health because I feel that it is not brought up enough. So 14 to 20% of South Africa's youth struggle with a mental health disorder. And another report shows that 60% of youth require some form of mental health support. And then some data also shows that 17.6 of our teenagers in South Africa have attempted suicide. Not long ago, my mother shared a story of a grade 6 learner who poisoned herself because of being bullied. And she left a suicide note saying that this is what the bully would have been happy with. We don't talk about this enough, and 1 in 3 South Africans is struggling with these mental health disorders. So to my fellow South Africans, listening is not agreeing to everything. It's respecting that we have insight on what you don't. Please invest in us so we can invest in our South Africa's future. And to my fellow youth, your voice is powerful. Million young people are currently without employment. These statistics, they are not just numbers. They represent dreams that are delayed, talent wasted, and opportunities that are lost. So that is my raising issue.
Thank you so much.
Greetings and salutations to the House at large. I'm Travano Abrams, national focal point for the youth at the South African Institute of International Affairs and also representing the JA project. I want to just add on what my junior advocate said about unemployment. Unemployment is something that scares us as high school learners because with a rate of 60% unemployment, our chances are more than half that our chances of getting a job after school. So what I want to also add on is that with the high unemployment rates, what are the issues or measures and ways that the parliamentarians have come up with to reduce the rate of the unemployment so we don't live in the fear that we're currently living in? Thank you.
Thank you. Behind you, number 5. Okay, number 6. There with the white. Said. Ukhohliwe number 5, Angithi.
Revolutionary greetings to the House at large. My name is Tutumlungisi Hleza, and I'm a student at the University of the Witwatersrand, and serving as the SRC coming back for my second term. I'm also here on my capacity as an alumni from My Voice, which is under Engage SA, a civil society organization that is out there. Making the work of the Lord. So mine is to the parliament also, and also other investors, to actually put more like a fund that is going to go and assist the young people, particularly in higher institutions of higher learning, and also deal with this thing of the student debt that we are facing as a country. Two is that civic society is actually facing an issue of funding and government regulations. We're asking them that for the work that they are doing, going out there, making
almost 40% of the learners is 12, right? Where your grade 9 and 11 are one of the most crucial grades where the where the dropout rate is the highest, right? These are the grades where learners are going to choose. They decide the purpose of their life. But purpose without direction is meaningful, right? It's stated that grade 9s, right, for learners who are 15 years old, almost 15% drop out, right? And these are one of the teens and very young. And 9% of 17-year-olds, they drop out too. 29.3, right, which is 18 and 19, where is the crucial part of their lives. These are the most ages where learners drop out in a sense. But who am I to come here and just only speak about problems, but not the power of accountability? So today I just want to talk about, not talk about in a sense, but I want to say that choices is meaningful when opportunities exist. If learners are given enough opportunities, then their choices is going to be meaningful. So the solutions in which I would like the organization to implement, right, is strengthening the foundation where learners are going to be equipped with skills that are relevant within the fourth industrial revolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Behind you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lamika Jarin, and I'm from Wallow Crescent Secondary. And today I'll be speaking about school dropouts and disengagement amongst the youth and how it affects us. Falling behind or leaving school as a whole due to financial issues, academic pressure, and other learning gaps leads to a lot of unemployment and feeling as if school has no purpose or feeling disconnected. Teenage pregnancy, bullying or substance abuse, and lack of support leads to the school dropouts and disengagement. Long-term impacts are limited jobs, lower incomes and higher risk of poverty, leaving our country at a lower rate of employment. So we struggle and we seem like we are left in poverty. Thank you.
Thank you. Behind you, behind you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Farid Wakir. I'm a youth leader representative for the Al Jamaa Party. So I just want to echo on what a lot of the youth was saying. So we feel that it's got to do with increasing competencies amongst the youth, particularly in those in impoverished and crime-infested areas. So upskilling them with leadership programs and funding that can be provided through strategic partnerships between various departments of government, SOEs, such as the Department of Education and Social Development, as well as entities such as NYDA and CEDA that can assist the youth in basically bridging that gap between unemployment and actually being skillful candidates within the workforce, basically. So we feel that there is an opportunity for this, but it needs to be addressed at a national level as well, and there needs to be the budget needs to be provided so that these types of programs can be put forward to the youth, basically.
Thank you. Give it to the lady here. It's you, ne? And then it's the last lady there. You are the last one, ne? On this side, and then you come to the 4 this side, and then you take the 12 here, and then the 5 there.
I'm standing here to acknowledge everybody in this room, especially our officials. Okay, there's no need to speak English. My cry, nakelaka infrastructure the most in the rural areas and in the townships. Kelaka service delivery. The most important thing for us is to get educated in dignified places, and is to get that dignified infrastructures and a proper service delivery. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The lady there at the back, it's your turn. There she is.
Honorable speakers, esteemed public representative across all spheres of government, fellow youth leaders, my name is Kutana Mashanu, and I stand here representing the Nalibali Trust, but also as an activist who has advocated for children welfare and educational equality, dating back to the severe academic disruptions children faced during the national lockdown. I know firsthand the structural fractures in our system, and I know the heavy responsibilities our generation carries. I'm going to be focusing on unemployment and illiteracy. The latest PIRLS data reveals a catastrophic reality, which is 81% of South African grade 4 learners cannot read for meaning in any language. Illiteracy kills dreams before they're even born. Without that vital foundation, how can we expect our youth to attain higher education? People aged 18 to 34 are classified as NEET, not in employment, education, or training. The youth of 1976 fought for liberation through education. The youth of 2026 are fighting for basic literacy and economic survival. Amanda Awetu, I thank you.
Indeed, Amanda Awenu, we take you, my brother. You are number 1.
Hello. Good morning, everybody. I don't know what is said to sort of give respect to the people that are here delegated to come and be here with us, and fellow young people here. My name is Lotanang Makoti. I am here representing the youth wing of United Africans Transformation called Tomorrow's Future. My main reason for standing up is that I feel like there is a sense that we are out of touch with reality. We are continuing to say, let us call young people together to come and have these talks. First and foremost, inside this gathering, a gathering of this nature was there last year. I was hoping that we could start off with a progress report of what is happening on the things that we discussed last year. Secondly, I was hoping that we could have a chance as delegates and as representatives of the various organizations to come and reflect on where we are as young people. Because here's what is happening. Right now, we are having conversations about young people being involved in drug abuse and all of these things, but we're not having conversations as to why it is that people have been relegated to being drug addicts in our community. The reality of the situation is that there is no alternative that is offered by the South African government. The South African government is not giving enough to young people, so young people have relegated themselves to escapists, escaping the realities that they have to live with. Before a young learner walks into university premises, first and foremost, they are coming from different backgrounds to the learners that are going to come there, speaking the big English, having had enough access, and this learner is going to go through a phase of having to catch up with the learners that are already there. The difference between learners who have gone to rural schools and learners who have gone to townships to the learners who have gone to Model C schools is something that is continuing to suppress our people. By the time a learner graduates, he graduates not having learned enough of the skills that equip him or her for the workspace, especially in certain industries. Now the reality is that we are going to come here, we are going to have all of these long discussions, we are going to have speaker after speaker without there being anything concrete that is being presented. And if there is to be something that is concrete that is presented, nothing is taken. There is no action that is being taken. So as a young person of this country, I feel like power is taken away from me. I feel like all of these things that we are doing, coming here to come and have these long conversations, is just box ticking exercises. We are still going to go back. We are still going to go back to our communities to go and encourage young people to apply to go to VETS and UCT, where they are going to go into VETS and UCT having qualified with enough marks. They will walk in there and there will be a student right next to them. And I'm sorry for racializing it. The student is going to be white. He's going to open a MacBook. This child is waiting for a laptop from NSFAS. He still needs to learn. He still needs to learn how to operate that laptop. Now, equally in the house, we have NYDA, who also have arrived late to this gathering. The NYDA arrived here late. I arrived here at around 7 a.m. Now, what is being said to me, when the people who are part of the committees that have invited us here are arriving an hour after we were supposed to start, it is a clear indication, leaders, that we are not respected in this house. I think the NYDA owes us a sincere apology for arriving at a time when they want. Now, in addition to the apologies that the NYDA owes us, the NYDA is communicating with everybody through virtual platforms. Now, the question is, who has access to that? You go and speak to the common child in the rural area. They don't even know what the scope of work that the NYDA is supposed to do. So I don't want to be in a gathering that is just here to sort of pacify us. Because another thing that I'm realizing is that our leaders are very much aware that young people are starting to realize where we are politically. Young people are realizing that the people that were sent to represent us have done nothing but fail us. When we talk about unemployment, let's not talk about it as something that is far-fetched or as something that is still in ideation phase or something that is a concept. The reality is that a person will graduate. They will say, at first, we were encouraged to say, go and get yourself educated so you can get a job. You get yourself educated, the goalpost keeps shifting. You have to get a degree. After a degree, get an honors. After an honors, get a master's. At what point are we going to be able to be employed? Now, this question is a question that goes. I'm going for too long. I'm realizing. I apologize, sir. It's just that what's like in Barbalaisa Tlala, elder. I don't want to lie to you, elder. Ne? Obana Tlala, ne? Tlala, e khono fa ngwana mo Africa. Sebiti, saura anseti bane. Atsamaye a re kilo tshwarapo. Obana Tlala, ne? Tlala e etsa ngwana mo Africa. A be le sebiti sa ho ilo reka matekwane, a re kilo rekisetsa dithaka tsaka. Tlala e fa ngwana mo Africa. Ngwana mo Africa e mo fa sebiti saura atsamaye a ilo rekisa ka mmele. Our dignity has been stripped from us by this situation. When we speak about recession and all of these things, the people who get the worst end of the stick are black South African children, because there hasn't been any proper reparation. There hasn't been any proper reparation ever since 1994. Joali, I am saying to everybody that is in the house, let us continue with the engagements, but if there is to be any changes, now I will be shocked. Nah, Tuto was shocked. If anything that we say here is to be put into practice. I thank you.
Thank you.
It's said ukuthi each and every year kuzoba ne-gathering kanje and kungabi nomphumela. The reason why I'm saying this njengoba sekashilo nje ukuthi even last year there was a gathering in Cape Town yayi kanje but iphi imphumela. Gizane accountability. Bapha abantu efanele ba-account for those things. Sikhuluma nge-unemployment. Sikhuluma nge-youth empowerment. The question is, how many years siloku sikhuluma nge-youth unemployment? Namhlanje abantu abaqashwa. Instead of inumber yehle ye-youth eyeqashwayo, no, iyakhuphuka. Mungathi uyabheka mhlambe we ku-36%, manje mawungathi uya-check-a ku-62 or somewhere ngale kwaka-50. Iphi accountability? Why sizoloku sizalana njalo nje sizokhuluma ngento eyodwa? Even next year sizoza futhi and sizokhuluma nge-unemployment. Or maybe we'll say ukuthi mhlambe kunabantu efanele baqashiwe. Mhlambe nekukhulunywa nge-youth empowerment kushiwa certain people. Mhlambe ayifike emakhaya because thina sisemakhaya. You'll understand ukuthi emakhaya abantwana bafundile, banama degrees, banama honors, but bahlele emakhaya. Okulandelayo bayahamba bayothengisa ngemzimba. Okulandelayo badla ama-drugs. It's because ayikho into abayenzayo. Siyaphi siwumzansi. To IEC, ngicabanga ukuthi since ngo-2019 it was kuma-election of 2019, 2021, 2024 kwa-raiswa into i-ATM yona kuqala ya-raisa kanye namanye ama-political parties ukuthi kena there are cases where rigging and hacking, but akaze nangelanga elilodwa kuke kushiwo ukuthi kena here's the opportunity. I guess argue about these cases. Aphi impendulo zalapho ziphi? Igama lami nguZinhle, the Deputy President of ATM Youth League. Ngiyabonga.
Thank you.
Morning, everyone. My name is Lucas from an organization called Paramani Young Minds Academy. Mine is a short one. I just want to, because I'm a youth coordinator at Paramani Young Minds Academy, and I'm sort of like a coordinator of these various governmental initiatives from the president perspective. So I just wanted to raise a few things about this program, because I've been privileged to be hosting this program for almost 3 years now. But the challenge that we're facing is that we have this program, for instance, for 10 months, and then this program ends, and these young people go back to being unemployed again. So it sort of become now a tick box to say that we've empowered 100 young people, or 5,000 or 100,000 young people in South Africa this year. But where are those people? Where do we track these people? Where are they going after this program? Because even the stipend that they get, it's like 1,000 or 1.5. And these young people go back to the statistics of being unemployed again. And this was reinforced by the Minister of Higher Education, which is Buti Manamela, who said that these programs are sort of fragmented and misaligned to the actual opportunities or the demand of employment. So even the minister is acknowledging that these programs, as much as they are there, they are not aligned to the workforce demand. And there was a report that was released, it's called the Presidential Employment Stimulus Report, that was released in Feb this year, 2026. And what I found shocking about that report, it actually stated that the budget for this program in 2021 was 12 billion. But when you check the trend, the budget has been always going down since 2021. And now it's actually sitting on 4 billion. I don't know what that reflects about the government and their seriousness about unemployment in this country. You cannot say that you are actually empowering or actually creating jobs in South Africa when you have a budget of 12 billion 6 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, and then this year you have 4 billion. I don't know what that says about the government that we have. Thank you so much.
Chief, yeah, next to you, number 4.
Greetings to everyone, the House at large, honorable members, delegates, and to the youth. I think what's important to highlight is the passion and the fervor that our colleagues spoke with. I think it's very important that we highlight that and that leadership see that the youth of today has the spirit of 1976. The youth is ready and the youth is willing to fight for what it wants. I just have 2 points that I want to raise, and I think we've spoken at length about unemployment of the youth. But I think it's very important that we conceptualize it and contextualize it, what it actually means, that the youth is being excluded from the economy. And the youth of today has a responsibility to families back at home that are expecting the youth to bring about a better future for the family at large. There's talk about deep black tax and whatnot, and some youth have the responsibility of breaking cycles of poverty that have endured through apartheid. And so now, when these youth cannot get employment, they cannot break that cycle of poverty that is occurring at home. The youth now that is sitting at home with nothing to do, there becomes a sense of defeatism. Umdu applies to many places, 100 applications every week, with no responses, no interviews, no job opportunities, and they begin to internalize aggression. They begin to look to themselves as not being good enough, being defeated by the circumstances, and not recognizing, as the Honorable Governor said in his remarks, that this issue is systemic and a structural issue. And now the youth internalize that aggression, and that leads them to substance abuse, depression, and other effects that they should not be going through. So I think it's very important that we contextualize the situation that the youth is going through. And I think another thing that comes from that is this interest in politics. If I don't feel that politics is working for me, I can't get a job, then there's no interest in politics. And participation in political activity wanes. And you see that youth are showing voter apathy and just apathy in general to political issues, which is another thing that I wanted to raise to the IEC representative, that we need to get the youth involved in politics, and we need a political education and campaigns of education so that the youth understand not only that they should vote, but the importance of their vote, why it's important that you should vote. As it was said, the youth is a large part of our population, the largest part, and not having the youth involved in our politics will be detrimental to society at large. And so I believe that campaigns like this, where the IEC representative said that there are officials here that can help people with registration, are important to not only bring to places like this, but we take them to school campuses and areas where the youth reside so that we can get the youth involved in our politics.
Thank you. Can you take number one here? Just give it a serious smack. Smack. There you are.
Salutations, everyone. I go by the name of Naledi Musiana. I'm here representing the JOC Junior Council. My main argument today is government-funded schools. Many schools in South Africa are funded by the government. The government funds over 25,000 schools, and the funds include building maintenance, teacher salaries, but the main problem is, as much as these schools are funded, us as the youth and us as the citizens, we don't see it. Where are the funds going? The school toilets are flooded, the school windows are broken, and then they expect us to go to school as if everything is fine, whereby we go to school and the quality of education we're getting is very low. The schools have no security, which leads to students bringing drugs to school. Gang violences break out at school because there's no security. So my main question is, who are we to blame? The government funds, or are we blaming the school itself for not using the resources the government are giving them? Thank you.
Thank you. Number two behind you. Nice and sweet.
Thank you. Good day, everyone. My name is Honorable Karabo Mosetli. I'm from the Gauteng Youth Sector Parliament, and I'm the chairperson of a portfolio committee. Honorable Budise, today we are here to come with our anniversary. Not an anniversary, we meet to encourage each other so that we can have another prosperous year. You know, we'll have a rally tomorrow and we'll fight tomorrow. And what we'll be fighting about, we'll be fighting about what are the turnaround times on what we've discussed today. It is sad to hear two consecutive speakers speaking or having an opening of, we've had this discussion, but nothing happened. Honorable Chair, for this engagement to take a complete different turn, this calls out for immediate appointments or notice of meetings from sectors or portfolio committees in the National Council of Provinces. First, in the Gauteng Youth Sector Parliament, we would love to have a sit down with the First Committee of Agriculture, Land Reform and Mineral Resources. This is for us to discuss the small-scale mining permits, funding, and partnerships, in the basis that where we are right now as the hosting province, we are the hosting province, which is the province of gold. And the gold belt starts from Western, which is now ready for the rollout of the small-scale mining. But the reality of young people that are in those open fields that are known as zamazamas because of the current status of our economy, even the young South Africans find themselves in the space telling you, I have 32 years and job, I have a certificate, I have a permit. So this calls for young people to also participate legally into the space, and the Western is ready to roll out the program of the small-scale mining. The leading mining company in the Western, which is the Pan-African Resources, and the subsidiary company to which is Mogale Tailings, is saying we are opening doors for open sectors so that young people can come through and establish their small-scale mining site. But however, our honorable guest NYDA that is here has no any other funding model to fund the NYDA. So tomorrow what the NYDA will be discussing with us in the rally to say, how are we going to, or how have we decided to tailor-make a funding model for small-scale farmers in and across South Africa? NYDA, yes, it arrived late. The funding arrives late. Everything about it is late. And they can come here and argue and say, no, we do have outreach programs and all of that. The reason why they are not being recognized is because of in our township, we judge you on how you look. The difference between Amapanya-Panya and the CPF, it is that Amapanya-Panya, they're well-dressed, well-recognized, and it gives confidence to our communities. So we need our NYDA, we need our human settlement, we need so that communities can know exactly and have confidence that government really takes our problem serious, the very same way the government of Gauteng took serious the concerns of community safety in and around our townships. It is very interesting to speak about mining in relations or in a room where there's predominantly people that are from a township. Because from you to identify a township, all you have to do is to look for a mining dump, and behind every mining dump there's a township. And right across next to it, there is a dilapidated factory. We need to have a proper sit down with the portfolio committees of corporate governance and public administration. Our reservoirs in our townships are not waking up to standard. That's why when we have a water crisis, the first people who are there to get or to fill the pain are the people in our townships, because of our public administrators or our municipalities are far behind in incorporating artificial intelligence as a tool of doing oversight. Our municipalities are doing international relations with different countries, and this should make a call out on how do we do our CVD revitalizations. In and across South Africa, because of here now we're speaking at a South African level, we are saying all CBDs across South Africa are becoming a dead town. Before we stepped inside, while NYDA was making their way here, because we're already here, I had a discussion with one of the members of parliament, or the staff of parliament, which is the interpreter in the booth. And I said to him, the reason why you are not realizing that the Luthuli House, which is the biggest organization, or the office of the biggest organization in Africa, you cannot realize it, is because of the town is now gray. But few blocks away, where you find the predominant young people that today we are gathered here and we want them to vote, they're in Braamfontein. And the difference between this area is because of that other side is bright through an open air art gallery. When you get into a house, Honorable Chair, the first thing that you do is to paint. As new government, we need to paint our cities, we need to paint our CBDs as part of our CBD revitalization. That will give confidence to our investors, and that will give confidence to our people in the township to also have interest in moving into these CBDs. Education, Science, and Creative Industry Portfolio Committee, as Gauteng would love to have a serious discussion with you as to how do we convert our higher learning education centers into high-performance centers as well. Currently, right now, it is very difficult to say, oi, oi, bafana, bafana, oi, oi, because of the results that we are having. Our sports, arts, culture, and recreation are very at a high risk because of the high-performance centers in our communities. Even in townships, they don't exist. What you find in townships, you find dormant local stadiums. The most important economic sector, portfolio committee is finance and public administration. Honorable Chair, as the chair of the public infrastructure of the NCOP, your discussion throughout the years is how do we then change the infrastructure in our communities. The infrastructure in our communities is one affected by the Zamazamas because they closed down your infrastructure that you are leading so they can stop water and do their illegal work. Two, the current thing being done. This will be our catalytic approach to shape the next 50 years and beyond, with the high turnout of voter registration and a high turnout on the 4th of November 2026 and beyond. Thank you.
I allowed you to speak, but what you did was wrong. Because when you stood up, you said you are part of the youth sector parliament. You were supposed to assist us in responding to these questions that have been raised here. Because that is your responsibility as a youth sector parliament representing these young people in Gauteng to deposit their issues for us in parliament. Now, if you complain about issues that they're supposed to complain about, I get worried. Because you are their representative. But I allowed you to speak so that we know, so that we are able to help you to respond to their issues as well. Maybe it's a frustration, but it's not supposed to happen the way it's happening. You have access, direct access to parliament, as opposed to some of them seated here. And the committee that you are speaking about on land, mining, and agriculture, fortunately enough, I'm the chairperson of that committee. Now, before I go to sit down, I want you to write an email now. Send it to abauer@parliament.gov.za requesting for a meeting. We'll come and meet with you and your team so that you are able to resolve those issues that you are talking about. So that we don't waste time. Number 3. Yeah, there you are.
Good morning, everyone. All protocol observed. Standing before you is Oliswas Tabataba, the unemployed graduate from CDB. Speaker, I'm happy to see young learners that are still in high school. And I would just like to give them a glimpse of what is to come for them. I matriculated in 2016, and I then furthered my studies to go and study my Bachelor of Laws. I have been unemployed since 2019. And the opportunities that are there are skill programs. You cannot tell me that as an NQF 8 holder, you are giving me a program that offers NQF level 4, which is equivalent to matric. And even with that, you are giving us stipends of 3,500. In that stipend, we are supposed to go to school, go to the program, buy food, and access other things. So my problem is with that as I'm standing here, it's difficult for me to motivate them, to tell them to go to varsity because of these challenges. And also, I forgot to mention that I am also part of the Gauteng Youth Sector Parliament. It is unfortunate that we had to fight to be here today. We had to fight. Our invitation was retracted. We were told that the invitation was retracted. We had to fight to be here. Yes, we are fighting for the Gauteng youth. We are fighting for the Gauteng youth. But how can we come here and give feedback about the youth sector parliament that we had last week and the resolutions that were there? How can we come back and convince them and tell them that, you know, guys, this is how we want to move forward? Our invitation was retracted. We had to force things to be here. And we want to hold ourselves accountable as the youth sector parliament to say to them that, yes, we've heard your concerns and these are the resolutions. But we are not even being given those platforms to discuss the things that we were discussing in our commissions. So as I'm standing here, I was not supposed to be standing here. But the fight will continue. Thank you.
You're also in the Youth Sector Parliament.
Good day, honorable members. Good day, Abantabasha. Standing before you is Umfana Kakoko, Honorable Muchachi. I have a question speaking to civil society groups being key to social cohesion. Which civil society groups? The ones funded by foreign agents and governments. Being specific, the Helen Suzman Foundation, the Cape Exit, Afri Forum, South African Human Rights Council, who have been found to have foreign board members and funders with foreign mandates that do not benefit the youth of South Africa. Rather than build social cohesion, these very civil groups cause divisions for the youth of South Africa. Organizations such as March and March and Operation Tutula do not come about from thin air. They come because of government inadequacies, corrupt police officials, home affairs, and such. And thus, they speak to the mandate of South Africans. Now, there are many NPOs and civil organizations that are doing brilliant groundwork, such as Masimini Sanja Songeto, Oasis Rover Crew, but suffer from funding because of such organizations such as the NYTA, which I'm not sure if they are here, if they have a representation, and the pessimist might say it's because of the allegation of 1.3 billion that has been looted and been siphoned to nepotized NPOs. The Constitution is not a Bible that must remain untouched, but rather a working document that must be changed every now and then to benefit the youth of South Africa. Now, as the chairperson of youth-led policy in the Gauteng Youth Sector Parliament, youth-led means representation. As it stands, the Gauteng executive, comprising of political parties such as the ANC, EFF, IFP, PA, Rise Mzansi, headed by the Honorable Panyaza Lisufi, currently has 0 youth participants. This GPU, this unity, How can we have unity without the 33% of the Gauteng, youth of Gauteng? How can we have unity when South African youth are suffering from a 45% unemployment crisis? We must be represented, and we will be represented now and forevermore. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning,
That one not going to allow.
Okay.
I'm going to make an appeal. Okay. All the speakers that are still to speak, please speak to the issues that we can help you with.
Okay.
We can't help you with the executive of Panyaza Lisufi and who's there and who's. It's not our mandate. Speak to issues that when we leave here, at least we can give you a feedback on. Have you sent the email? Thank you.
Yes,
and please, NYDA is here to present itself. And I'm told that by 12:30 we should be done. So let's be mindful when we make our input, that there are other speakers as well that needs to speak.
My name is Honorable Member Freedom Shabalala from Ekwatema, small town near Mpumalanga. So my issue is directed to the Parliament. Currently, I'm a candidate for CLLR, which is the councillor. But due to Awantabatal, I could say, Awantamasoto, I'm being suppressed in a brown envelope. I don't have funds to give people Amapia, of which is Angsakonu express my views of Antabasha. Yesterday I was in the PGMs, I was suppressed, but they bought them Amapia, which Bangang Voteli, of which is wrong. How are we supposed
but
to
Chief, don't do
No,
that.
don't
do that. Don't abuse this platform. Please don't abuse this platform. There are young people here who have serious concerns. Concerns that they want solutions from. And then you come and you clown here. Now you stand up and you are clowning when young people are seriously seeking for interventions. There's a lady next to you who just stood up and said, I'm a graduate. I've done my BLA degree. I need intervention. When are you come and clown here? Young people are looking for solutions. Let's take this platform very serious. Next speaker. Next.
Greetings to the House at large. Greetings to all honorable members and all protocols observed. My name is Honorable Thabiso Tejane, the current Deputy Speaker of the Youth Sector Parliament of Gauteng Provincial Legislature. From what was raised in the House, I can simply summarize it to say, when we discuss issues, I came across something very peculiar about how we discuss issues in South Africa. Whenever we discuss issues in South Africa, we have a tendency of excluding two institutions, which somehow, I'd hate to use the term dictate. I would hate to use the term dictate, Speaker, but I'm afraid I have to use it, the term dictate, where you find the Treasury and the Reserve Bank being excluded in these conversations. Yet, the fiscal and monetary policies that are taken by this institution, they reflect back to the issues that all of us are raising. A member here raised an issue there to say the budget for education since 2018 has been declining. Am I correct? Recently, we received news that now Morocco is being the #1 industrial country in Africa, meaning Morocco has overtaken South Africa when it comes to industrialization. We are living in an economy where it prioritizes bondholders over the social fabric of their society. Even now, when you look at how the members of parliament sitting in Cape Town adopting resolutions, recently the Minister of Finance proposed a metro trading reform, services reform for the 8 metros across the province. Basically, this reform services is telling metros to say prioritize affluent areas in providing service delivery. I have an NPO. I'm a co-founder of an NPO, and I'm collaborating with the local library. For me to use their facilities, I'm charged 40 rand an hour. And I'm doing a program for young people. I'm addressing the issue of mathematics in South Africa because statistics reveals that only 5% of learners who started from grade 1 up until grade 12, only 5% of them are able to achieve mathematics above 50%. It means 95% of South African learners in South Africa, when it comes to mathematics, they don't achieve a mark higher above 50%. So you realize that the decisions that are taken in Cape Town that are supposed to be implemented by Pretoria, they are not corresponding to the reality. So to you, Speaker, what I'm proposing to you to say, can we allow us that platform, because as my honorable member raised here to say, we are allowed a platform to participate in public participation, but the processes do not allow us to voice our concerns when it comes to that issue. My request to say, can you please allow us the platform to really that so that we can be able as a youth sector parliament to answer to the young people that we came to represent. Because as it stands, we were not allowed to come here. Our invitation was retracted. So how are we going to respond to all these questions if the very same institutions are not allowing us to voice them out? I thank you.
Thank you so much. When we leave here, you'll have a response on the, how many, okay, let's do this. From those who are still going to speak, how many of you are from the youth sector parliament? Those that are still going to speak. Chair, can you agree to address the youth sector parliament during lunch? Can you address the issue during lunch? Okay, please don't speak. Youth sector parliament, don't speak. Let's address your issues during lunch, because you also want to know who withdrew your invite, because the invite will have came from parliament. I don't think anyone has a right to withdraw your invite. Can you take anyone who's not from the youth sector parliament?
But Speaker, can you please withdraw the word clowning to our member?
The word is withdrawn. Thank you. Yeah, it's a kulumuzo. And if you are not from youth sector parliament, let him, and then you'll be the last speaker. And then we go and finish up that side so that leadership can take over.
In my utmost respect to everyone present here, I greet you all. My name is Makabo Muchidzi, a Vets Vida alumni in my school, a part of the Student Council, and secondly, I am part of a local team that has been struggling with infrastructure, with resources, and Chapter 2 of the Constitution, which is the Bill of Rights, Section 2, subsection 31, states that we all have equal rights to resources. But what from Kiani have to come here in Gauteng just to play soccer? How do we address the development of sports and culture in rural areas? How do we address the lack of academies of sports, arts and culture in local kids here in townships and in rural areas? That was my comment to the President. I thank you.
Thank you. Hello, please give it to him.
Good morning. Ke leboela platform. Program direct. Ke ne ke mametse molaetsa wa pele wa hore re engage. You said re deposit di topic tsa hore re batla ho tlo bua ka eng, and we ended up se re mamela di speech tsa batho ba batlang ho address. Back to principles of what you said. Can we discuss as Ritlile Mona? I think the disbandment of the National Youth Commission must be re-established. Why am I saying that? As long as there is now a National Youth Commission, we are continue to allow ourselves not to have a commission that will be able to summon the departments if they do not report the improvement of what do they do into interventions of making sure that they eradicate unemployment, youth substance abuse, and etc. Therefore, I'm suggesting that we should come to a conversation of saying there's a need for us to re-establish a commission as the independent Chapter 9 constitutional institutions. so then we can set up the policy frameworks that will guide the intergovernment departments, whether institutions and the state. Ke tla tabeng ya bobedi. I want to give dipotso tsaka to NYDA.
They are coming by email.
Ke ba email.
Yeah, they are coming. They are here. The doctor is here.
Well received. Ke tla tabeng ya IEC because re qeta ho thola presentation ya bona. I think what we also need to include into mandate ya IEC. The IEC only speeches tsa bona se preacha taba ya a right to vote. And I always stand up to say the IEC must also preach into their mandate a right to accountability. Because they
My name is Nelly Swa. I'm from Kitsolisedi Youth Development. My worry is on central database for entrepreneurship. So our challenge as entrepreneur is we are unable to reach the end user because as Kon Ubuti, if me, I'm trying to get a business from someone, I am unable to have a platform whereby I'll be able to interact with those people because of red tape. So there is too much red tape, but if we can have a central database whereby as entrepreneurs, we are able to meet it there and the end user is able to apply whatever he is looking for in that particular central database, it will be helpful. Then the other thing is implementation. So we always talk and talk and talk, but we don't implement whatever that we say. So it becomes a challenge for us. The other thing is the structures and systems. So the structures and the systems, they are failing us all the time. When we are trying to get to NYDA, you only go there through online. But the ones who is there a location without data, they are unable to reach them.
NYDA is coming. Don't engage before they give presentation.
All right. So then the other thing is the funding pipelines. So the funding pipeline, here's the challenge. We always hear what there is funding, right? But the challenge is it doesn't reach the ground. It always fades on the way, but we don't know where we can go for the accountability and hear accountability about the funding. Then the other thing that can be also helpful for us as entrepreneurs is networking. A platform for us to be able to network, especially for the manufacturers. We are having our manufacturers here, but we don't have a platform where we meet as manufacturers to be able to inform each other on how to organize our structures. Then the other challenge is unregistered companies. So the unregistered companies, they are not having a channel, a safe channel whereby they can be able to communicate without interference. When you won't get funding because you are not registered. So would it be possible for, even if you are not registered, as long as you are doing something on the ground, can we also be helped with funding so that we can be able to grow and able to reach each and everyone who is around? Thank you.
Next to you.
Greetings, honorable members. I go by the name of Sigelela Fanjala. Mina ngikhathele, guys. I'm sick and tired. I want accountability. I'm sick and tired. We have questions, but we don't get resolutions. We have lack of funding, first things first. We are an NPO, which is Youth Development Center. There's always a lack of funding. Though there's a period, I think a 3 months to 4 months period where we didn't have funding. Where there's people eating in our NPO. There's people with skills that are trained. There's people from I think, varsity to come and get experience. But there's lack of funding. We are crying. Please reach out. Tina, we are crying. In our townships, there's lots and lot of things happening. Drugs, bullying, because of this lack of funding. Many students, they drop out. They go do bad things out there. I'm talking about this whole month, not even a year. This whole month, we have lost approximately 3 to 4 students. Others, it's bullying. Others, they were stabbed. We don't know what happened. We as an NPO wanted to stop that. At least give us funding. We are crying ngendaba funding. Siyakhala kakhulu too much. Kunabantu abalala bangadlanga because of this lack of funding. Thina besizama ukuthi si reach out kulabo bantu ukuthi balale badlile. At least masithole funding ukuthi sikwazi ukubaphekela. Ifunding ukuthi at least laba baleka ama skills to go to our workplaces, ba providing ama skills. But please, funding.
All right.
Funding.
Funding.
Yes.
Funding. We heard you. Number one. Youth sector, please coordinate yourselves. They were meeting now when you break for lunch. Please coordinate yourselves.
Am I audible? Yeah. Greetings to everyone. Greetings to honorable members and young people. My name is Luyolo Twisi. I'm from the Eastern Cape, Kader. And I'm the focal point of the youth sector in the National Dialogue Steering Committee that was appointed by the President. Chair, we had a meeting as the youth sector this weekend as national organizations, including the President of SAIC was also there. One of the issues that was highlighted before we identified problems and solutions that we are facing externally, we had to have an honest reflection within us as the youth sector and do some self-introspection that what are the challenges that we are having internally that delays our progress as young people. We highlighted that one of the challenges is fragmentation and divisions that are happening within the youth sector. And the silo approach where organizations, they are operating within the silo approach. That is why we are experiencing individuals that are masquerading as people that are representing our interest while they are representing their own interest. As the youth sector, we took a decision that we are going to draft a youth coordination framework to ensure that there's a proper coordination mechanism within us as a sector. That will ensure it will become a widespread approach that will coordinate young people for them to access the conducive environment. So, by that, Chairperson, we are also going to submit that youth coordination framework also to the to the legislative, which is the arm of the government, which is the parliament. I want to also emphasize that for the sake of content in this meeting, the difference between the generation of 1976 and the generation of today, they were fighting against the apartheid system. We are fighting for the participation of young people in our economy. We can see the high rate of socio-economic challenges that has predominantly the face of young people. When you speak about poverty and unemployment, young people have raised those issues, which is caused by the gap between the political liberation and economic emancipation. We were fundamentally failed by the democratic state, which didn't dismantle the apartheid structures within our economy. And today we inherited an apartheid economy. That's why the minority race is the one that is benefiting within its economy. I do want to emphasize that there are various issues that has been issued here and based on the inputs of young people. There's also a gap between policy ambition and implementation. As much as we have all these policies, as much as we have the National Youth Development Policy, as long as we don't have a robust monitoring and evaluation mechanism that will ensure that there's proper implementation that aligns with the strategies that are being placed in our country. I do want us also, when we discuss about our economy and policy choices, We need to also to understand better through the lens of neoliberalism and liberalism, because both frameworks shaped the trajectory of our economic transformation. Because if you speak about liberalism in the South African context, it is inspired by our constitution, which in the first phase of our democratic state, it focused on building a nation reconciliation, which the neoliberalism was to ensure that we have a stable economy. But we see today that a capital-driven economy, it focuses on market more than the transformation of our people. We need to, you can see there were policies that were made through the neoliberalism, even the BBBE, but how many black people have benefited? Many policies, the year 1996, but yet there's a lack of participation, not only of young people, but black people in particular. So those are the discussions that we need to be honest about and come with solutions on how we can address that. Lastly, Chair, I want to say that South Africa, there's a bold requirement of microeconomic reforms that will adapt to global changes and address domestic constraints. We can see the global shift that is taking place, but we want to place ourselves as one of the world power, superpower country, but yet we are having a challenge of domestic constraints. We can see the shift that is taking the World Trade Organization, the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, but the reality is that our people are ready to participate in such global shift. No is the answer, because we have to first address the domestic constraints that we are currently facing as a country. By that, Chairperson, I want to thank you without wasting time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Number 2 is next to you. You're not going to cheat me. Number 2 is you, my chief.
Thanks.
Yeah, we appreciate the political economy class, my brother. Let's take number 2.
Thanks, Chair. Greetings to yourself and everyone here in the meeting. I do want to say you are one of the progressive chairpersons and very much solution-orientated. But ideally, one would have loved a situation where the unemployed graduate would be requested their email address so that she sends a CV and then an appointment letter will then come as a solution-orientated chairperson. No, my colleagues have reflected on a lot of issues, Chair, but we do want to say we don't want these youth parliaments to be a compliance exercise. We were in a youth parliament last year in Cape Town. Resolutions were taken in that youth parliament, but we have not gotten a report in terms of the implementation of those resolutions. Now I want to check the resolutions that will be taken in this youth parliament. Whereas you had resolutions that were taken in that meeting. So perhaps if we can get a response on that, would be quite happy. Chair, let's also reflect on the 1976 generation. And in reflection, we do want to thank that generation because it addressed a lot of issues of inequality as it pertains to youth. They fought for equality in terms of education, and we're on the road towards that equality of education. But what we must do as this generation of today is to make sure that that equality education that they fought for is translated into decent work. No more can it be that a graduate can sit at home unemployed, whereas ufundile une qualifications. So we want to be that generation now that declares in this meeting, in this youth parliament, that decent work must begin to arise during our time. Chair, maybe the other things that we need to speak about is that this youth parliament must declare unemployment as a national disaster. Because that is one of the things that were raised by many young people here. You can tell the frustration even from scholars. They are worried that when we graduate or when we matriculate, what then will we become? After everything that would have been done for them to stay at school. So that's what we wanted to reflect on. As well, to comment on the issue of the Youth Development Act that was raised by the President of the SAIC. We do want to say, Chair, that we appreciate that Parliament recognizes this year as the year of youth. Part of that recognition must speak to the institutionalization and the fact that that National Development Act must be implemented, adopted, and legislated this year before the year ends. In reflecting as well in the presentation made by the IEC, I think we must acknowledge that the youth are faced with a lot of political apathy. They are distant in terms of the democratic processes taking place in the country. So if we want to deal with the voter turnout, we must deal with that youth political apathy first. How do we do that as parliament? How do we do that as legislators? How do we do that as the councils? Let's involve the youth in resolutions that are taken by parliament. Even before a council meeting sits, you must invite youth to say, what is it that is your interest within this municipality? Youth must be invited before a legislature meeting sits or the National Assembly sits, so that whatever is discussed in those councils and those legislatures is a direct interest of young people, including after those resolutions are taken, be able to invite youth back again and say, this is what was done in council, legislature, and parliament. That way, young people will know that their vote really does count. The people that we voted for are accountable to us as individuals. That's a proposal I wanted to make. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Behind you, behind you, behind you. There are 3 ladies behind you.
Greetings to everyone who's present in this space. My name is Balasama Kheta. I'm an Save the Children South Africa activist and alumni. Today I had a question to our government about the job scarcities that are there in the psychology sector. We say that there's a shortage of therapists in public clinics, in which 84% of our population depends on the public sector. Yes, there is a shortage of therapists within our government or within our public clinics, but however, we find that there are also psychologists who have graduated but are unemployed. So if there is a gap within the clinics that there are no jobs, then why are the psychologists sitting at home with qualifications that could fill in those jobs? And even though there are psychologists which are present, we find that most of them are doing internships, and those internships, yes, they are funded yearly, but then there are no permanent posts for those therapists. Moreover, the Section 27, subsection 1A of the Constitution states that everyone has the right to have access to healthcare services. But however, we find that most of the youth that are going through depression and traumatic disorders don't find access to those healthcare facilities or to the therapists that they need to see, which is why we see most of our youth seeing fit to resolve to issues such as addictions and criminal activities. And coming to criminal activities, we find that even though there are criminal activities taking place within our community, for one, I was matriculating last year, and I used to come back home very late, around 7 or 6, due to afternoon classes. You find that the street lights are not working, it's dark and it's scary outside. But even with these things being a concern, infrastructure is still not fixed. And on top of it, even if you call the police for help, there's no service delivery that is immediate. And on top of it, you go to the police station and ask for assistance, they'll tell you that the vans are not available. And even when they are available, you wait for about 6 hours to get assistance from those vans. So we request for service delivery to be immediate to our youth, and we also request that you fix infrastructure. We also request that you assist the South African youth that is suffering with depression and mental health issues. Thank you.
Greetings to everyone standing before you as Palesa Tete, part of Save the Children South Africa. I'm an alumni standing here today. So, ladies and gentlemen, the main problem, or rather the main thing that we had today, is the unemployment that the youth is currently facing, right? But what I'm saying is the voice against that unemployment. Because we do get that the youth is unemployed, but are their voice heard by the government, right? That's the most important thing we need to ask ourselves as the youth. Right? Now, the most important thing also that actually triggered this parliament today is the political disengagement of the youth, ladies and gentlemen. That's the most important thing, because now we do get that the youth are exposed to opportunities like standing here today. That's actually a great opportunity for us to actually be here today. But the question is, how many people, or rather how many youth of South Africa can actually access that type of opportunities, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm standing here today asking that the government should actually introduce more of these sessions to the youth. For example, ladies and gentlemen, where I come from, Save the Children is not really known, these youth empowering organizations are not really empowered because we do not know what actually they do for us, or rather what beneficial they have, ladies and gentlemen. Now check. The Section 19 of the Constitution of the Bill of Rights of South Africa guarantees every citizen to have the rights to actually partake in political choices and political activities, such as being here today, ladies and gentlemen. So my concern is that the youth cannot partake into these things because we're not actually exposed as we should by the government to these organizations like this, ladies and gentlemen. With that being said, I'll thank you.
Next to you, the last speaker, it's you, ne? No, it's not you, Chief. The last speaker is this guy. Stand up. Yes, Chief. You are number 5, are you? Yes.
Nah,
Same organization. Yes. You are pushing your message.
Okay. Obedience Ramaji. I come here with the experience of lack of infrastructure from school. During my matriculation in 2024 at Realukili High School in Alexandra, we faced a lot of lack of infrastructure, such as there were lack of chairs, and we were supposed to stand outside during that time where pressure was sky high. We couldn't even just stay because there were lack of chairs. We couldn't continue with our education. We couldn't be provided the right to education. So I also stand here okay, I've participated in many events such as this, youth empowerment and whatever, but basically we leave our information, we leave the Gmail, we leave our phone numbers, but there's never been an email concerning what happened, what's happening with our requests. So I stand here before you asking for responses the next time we meet, if possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Tian, Ozaba. Those who want to speak, raise your hands and Tian is coming. He will note you.
Speaker, if I may, just 1 minute.
No, wait. Your hand was not up. Wait. Please wait. Ozam Tian.
Thanks, Honorable Chair, House Chairperson, the Deputy Chair of NCOP, honorable members of Parliament, Sanbonan Mandabasha. Sanbonani. Oh, because now I see the energy is low. I think we're going to pause here and have lunch. Then we're going to come back after lunch and continue the program. All of us will go to that door and check the rights, and we'll get lunch there. After an hour, we're coming back to be seated and continue our program. Thank you very much.